So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Afternoon, gentlemen, evening, gentlemen, wherever part of the world that you're in, or morning, gentlemen and ladies. I'm being very presumptuous here, number one, that it's afternoon, morning, or evening, first of all. So basically, good whatever time it is to whatever gender you are, people, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And
I thought you turned into Jim Carrey there.
good afternoon, good morning, and good night.
Good morning. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
The Truman Show, good show. Yeah, it feels like we're living in the Truman Show at the moment. But, you know, with everything that's going on, it just feels like it is a TV show, and it feels like fucking Monday night was a TV show too, as well, for some people, because there was it was a TV incidentally that did us in, and we'll get onto that and we'll talk about that later on. But we did leave it specifically until Wednesday because look, there's ire and there's angst and there's vitriol and there's anger and there's piss and vinegar that can come out, and just look, we're still going to have enough of it, I think, tonight. But if I know for a fact, if I was to come on Monday evening, and myself and Paddy were talking about, we were contemplating coming on Monday evening directly after the game, I just turned off my phone and I fucked it into the corner, and I said, no, I just can't do this. I found it pretty heartbreaking, to be honest with you.
I have a feeling if we'd have gone live on Monday night, we might have got a solicitor's letter from PGMOL.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm wondering what I would have gotten rid of here. I would have hung it up on the wall, and I would have ignored it, but I would have framed it and put it on the wall. I don't know whereabouts in the wall I would have put it yet, but no, I would have put it right there on the dartboard. That's exactly where I would have put it. I fired darts at it all day long. But yeah, look, as I say, I there's, you know, you have to come at it, I suppose, from all sides, I suppose, when you're looking at something like that. And, you know, it would have been pretty, there would have been out of character things done and said, I would imagine, on Monday night, because for the first time in a long time, as I say, I just turned off the phone. I didn't care what anyone else had to say about the game. And it just was what it was, Paddy. And we're going to spend time talking about it before we get on to, you know, what we hope we're going to be more, I suppose, a more fruitful game at the weekend. There's a lot of positives to think about coming into the weekend, but Monday was it was just a deadener, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I was talking to one of the guys today who watches the podcast, and I was trying to be honest with him and saying that I'm the most unlikely podcaster. I'm just here to keep you on the straight and narrow, Neil. And the reason I'm an unlikely the reason I'm an unlikely podcaster is because of games like Monday night, because I'm capable of losing my shit completely. And I would rather have gone out and lost 10-0 to Man United than lose the way we did. And I genuinely mean that. I would get over it quicker if we lost 10-0 than lose like that. It's hard to describe, but like you messaged me saying, turn off the phone, chat to you tomorrow. And I'm completely different. I'm lying there at 3 o'clock in the morning reading Twitter and getting even more annoyed because that's what I do. Having said that, I did a 4 beers watching the game, and I realized I had to stop because it was a school night and I would have drank myself till 3 o'clock in the morning reading Twitter. So I just went to bed, but I went to bed and read Twitter till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So anyway, where do we start?
It's mad because, like, as I say, and this is the catharsis of a podcast, and you know, it's like it's very rare that I would get in that much of a mood, and I consider it a mood. Last time, ironically, actually, I was like, that was after it wasn't even after the Rodri goal. It was after Pog. It was, I said it before the game. I said I'll never forget how bad I felt after Pogba left the trailing leg for the penalty against Douglas Luiz against United on the 1st of January last season, and our 2021, and that was probably the last time I felt robbed, I felt defiled, whatever other kind of word that you could try and throw at it. And look, people like there are a lot of people there that will hang their hat and say it was an absolute 100% correct decision. I don't think that anyone can say it was a 100% correct decision. I don't think anyone can say it was 100% a ludicrous decision because there was only one angle looked at it. But what I can say is that if you're not 100% certain it's the correct decision, you can't fucking give it.
So, answer me this, Neil. Why did the referee, Michael Oliver, who's supposed to be the best referee the UK has to offer, when the ball was in the back of the net and Cavani ran towards him, he shook his head and said no?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, at that stage, he was 100% sure, or else he wouldn't have said that. You see, there's a difference between 100% sure and putting your hand up and telling someone to go away. He was 100% sure that it wasn't. So that's what's really got me about it.
And I agree with that. And then I suppose, and look, for preface, right, before this, I'm as pissed off as anyone. I'm going to play devil's advocate to a couple of points here. Okay? I'm going to do that. I don't wholly believe in some of these things. Full transparency. I've had this out with a couple of people recently, and they turned around and they said, yeah, but like there's loads of times referees and linesmen are fully sure that people are onside, and then VAR says they're offside. And that's what VAR is for, when the referee gets something wrong. So what my point to that was, can he for certain say that Jacob Ramsey would 100% changed and deviated from anything he was doing, and that Cavani could have got the ball? Like, there was so many mitigating factors in it.
I'll tell you exactly what happened, Neil. Edinson Cavani is a shithouse who can't fucking run anymore, and he ran straight into Jacob Ramsey looking for a foul. That's all that happened. Nothing else. Ramsey didn't move. There's a line there. It was shared in the law book or rule book or whatever the fucking gobshites want to call it. If Ramsey doesn't move, it's not a foul. Ramsey doesn't move, so it's not a foul. So it was waved away by the referee, and categorically said no into Cavani's face, and then went and looked at it and gave it. They went through the full offside decisions. They went through Watkins offside. They went through Wings offside. They went through Ings handball. How many times they slow it down to see did it touch his hand?
That was ridiculous. It clearly comes off his thigh. Like that, that was ridiculous. And
they 100% went out of their way to find a reason not to give that goal, and nobody will convince me otherwise. Absolutely nobody. And if that's the case, they have now got to give a penalty for every single ball that goes into the box, because it's happening everywhere.
100%.
Pontus Jansson, if he's attacking a corner or defending a corner, it's either a penalty every time or it's a free out. 100%. You watch every time Brentford play. We played him a few weeks ago. Douglas Luiz was on him. He had his arms on Douglas Luiz the minute the ball was kicked, either to pull him into him to try and draw a foul or push him out of the way. Every time. And nothing is ever done about it. It's never highlighted. Nobody says a word for some bloody reason. I don't know. I am no doubt in my mind.
What I'd say is I'm okay with them with them not highlighting it in all instances, but then for something like this, like my bugbear here is, I can guarantee you 1,000,000%, even if Edinson Cavani running back towards his own goal gets to Ezri Konsa, he isn't going to have a bull's notion where the ball is. And do you know what? He isn't even going to be able to head the ball because
he's not getting there anyway.
He's a striker he was a striker making a striker's run, not even a defensive run. He was making a striker's run as if he was going to put it in the back post. That's what he was doing. I don't even think that like the way he was even. Look, this is complete another conspiracy, not conspiracy theory stuff, but this is it's all conjecture. And the reason it's conjecture is because there's no one that can say there, that Jacob Ramsey completely deviated his run. We're back to the simple fact again that we're back to the simple situation again that we were about six weeks ago. Michael Oliver went and looked at a video screen against Leicester and was unsure of the rule. He made a determination with only 60% of the information, and whichever side of the coin it comes down on, you could say it was the right or the wrong decision. So VAR is there to stop ambiguous things. This was wholly ambiguous. I think the Kasper Schmeichel thing was wholly ambiguous as well in hindsight, and that is the issue. That's my biggest issue here. Unless it's 100%, guess what? Unless it's 100% clear and obvious They even made a big deal out of it. They make a big deal out of it whenever they get a referee on to talk about stuff. They've even, and this is another thing, talk about conspiracy theories. I maintain they've told referees to come on to discuss decisions to stop saying the words clear and obvious, because everybody else in the world has picked up on the clear and obvious and is saying it wasn't clear and obvious. It never is. It never is clear and obvious when VAR gets involved in it. And that's the problem. The 4.5 minutes or whatever it is, 3 minutes, 45 seconds, 3 minutes, 50 seconds, whatever it was. That is a very definition of unclear and unobvious.
100%. 100%. If it takes you 3.5 minutes to find something wrong with a goal, it's not clear and obvious. Right? There was an incident where Harry Kane against Liverpool, was it? Where Dermot Gallagher used the phrase out of control and off his feet. Remember, we used to hear that all the time. Every week. Dermot Gallagher almost retreated back into himself after saying it, because that's obviously they've told the TV companies that's not the buzzword anymore, because we can't do the England captain for being out of control and off his feet. But poor little Aston Villa will find a way of robbing them 100%. And look, I would like to draw a line under the VAR issue, because
I was just about to say it.
There's a lot more we can talk about in this game, and we're not going to go on to it too much because we fucking talk about them again now coming up to the weekend. But
we have a positive line to draw in the sand. And it could be a doubly positive line tomorrow, I would imagine, early tomorrow morning. I would say people have your Twitter notifications set to.
And the one thing I will say, there was 58 or 59 minutes on the clock, and I said to my son, if we score here, we'll get 4. And I genuinely meant that. They were there for the taking. We were 100%. We were absolutely brilliant. That's the best game we played that we lost under Steven Gerrard. We played for the vast majority of the game on the front foot. We were the better side by far, and it's just unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. But look, there's lots of things, and I'm not going to let this one go either. If there's no VAR at Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal, there's no fucking VAR against Man United for Aston Villa, because the conspiracy theorists, and I'm one of them, will check the draw and see that all 5 of the greedy 6 that are left in the FA Cup are all playing where? At home in the next round, where they have VAR. So
I won't go that far.
As far as I'm concerned, the FA do not do themselves any favours. They have shown that they are the poorest organisation at implementing VAR, and they just can't do it. So Mike Riley needs to step down and let somebody who's competent sort this out. Otherwise, why are we all going to football matches? Why is there 15,000 people waiting to come into Villa Park to be robbed? We can't have football going the way it is. It's absolutely putrid on the small guy. And you know what? The time will come where we won't be the small guy anymore. We've just bought the third most expensive player in the world. It's time for us. And I know Steven Gerrard has a no excuse policy. I think there'll come a time where he'll have to point the finger at the idiots in Stockley Park and the idiot with the whistle and the idiot with the flag, because that is what's wrong with the game. That is 100% what's wrong with the game. So I think about 90 seconds ago we were moving on from this.
I know, and we will in a moment. I just realised I made a placard that I was going to hold up into the screen that basically was an expletive about VAR, and I completely left it inside in the house. Damn it!
There you go.
Ah, well, ruined my prop for tonight. That was it. But anyway, let's move on. Let's draw a line in the side. We have negativity on this side, literally, and we have things to look forward to and positivity. And I think one of the most positive things we can look at is that soon to be Aston Villa's next signing, Lucas Digne, is watching the podcast tonight. Lucas, welcome aboard. Yeah. The Manx are going to get it.
While I completely agree with him, that doesn't mean we have to put up with it. So
no, it doesn't. No, but the Manx are going to get it on Saturday, because Lucas is going to be able to affect the game on Saturday, and he's going to swing in a couple of them from that left-hand side, hopefully, if he starts or if he comes on. But let's look at some of the comments here, because it is it's interesting. We've had our little monologues and soliloquies there, and it's interesting to see what everybody else thinks. And Ronan, good to see you, Ronan, and brilliant to hear you're going back over again on Saturday, because Ronan was over there for the Burnley game and it was cancelled. So that one was a stinger, I'd say now. But I really want to stuff them as well, Ronan. And you're gone for 4-0. Paddy said we would have beaten them 4-1 if we had scored on Monday. So let's hope we take that into it. John Steele, great to have you again, John. They went so far back on VAR, the goal was eventually ruled out for a foul by Frank Stapleton and Derek Mountfield. David Coote is the referee on Saturday, United season ticket holder. That is correct. That I don't know if he's season ticket holder, but his Facebook page is everything about Manchester United. Go figure. I thought you had to fill out a form and say that you were what your allegiance was. I don't know. I suppose trooping under all United fans except for Mike Riley, who is it Mike Riley? Not Mike Riley, your man who's the Tranmere fan.
Mike Dean.
Mike Dean.
How could you forget that?
Well, because they all mash into one big pile of shite, Paddy. That's what they do. That's all they say. Macadamia, massive game on Saturday. Win it and can jumpstart a run that changes our whole season. I hope Digne plays. I hope he signs first and then he plays. I think we will see Coutinho. From a defensive point of view, I hope Digne plays. But look, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't start on Saturday. And I wouldn't be surprised if Coutinho didn't start on Saturday. But we'll get onto that in a moment. Rob Henry makes a great point this here. We've lost 5 out of 9 and we need to start winning. At the end of the day, and Stephen Gerrard more or less said this as well, he goes, like, tough shit never made anything easier. It's just the case of we need to start winning. Things need to start getting back on the track again. Yes, we have lost to, what I'm going to call traditionally top teams. And and yes, you can use that as an excuse, but we could have drawn with Man City. We could have beaten United the last day. Chelsea were there. We could have drawn or beaten Chelsea. So we've put up some abject performances against them, but still kind of found a way to cling on and hang on as well. So let's hope that, as you say, this little bit of a creative spark that we have in Coutinho is gonna manifest itself into maybe that little skeleton key up there that helps us to create and score chances, because that's where we're going wrong.
While you have that stat up on the screen, I'd also like to remind you that if we lose on Saturday, that's 4 in a row. That's pretty fucking serious at this stage. Albeit,
are we talking about second Gerrard?
Well,
don't even go out of it. Basuma, is the link true? I think the link is true. I'm going to say it. Do I just come out and say it? I'm not too pushed. If we sign him, great. Don't get me wrong. I know he's a good player. I'm not pushed about spending 50 million on him, lads. And I don't care what his value could be in 2 or 3 years' time, which I've seen. I just don't know am I pushed about spending 50 million on him. If you were to give me 50 million, I'm going to Turin to Juventus to look for Rodrigo Betancourt, or I'm going to Bologna to look for Nicholas Dominguez. There's better players for 50 million. Is he playing in the league? Yes, he is. If we sign him, fine. If we sign him, absolutely grand. That's all I'm saying. It's just, if we sign him, great. If we don't and we sign another player, great. Let's just see who comes in and let's see what, he might come into our team and play shit in the jersey. Hell knows it's happened before. So just saying. No need to have any panics about it. Just saying. I was afraid to say that because I know I'm going to get backlash somewhere, because he's not the only defensive midfielder in the world. And this isn't the go to Ethan. Jesus, Ethan, you're just getting the ire because myself and Paddy are wound up. We're shot out of a cannon at the moment. So apologies, Ethan. This isn't us. This isn't me saying anything about you. It was just kind of my commentary, I suppose, on Basuma. I have a piece coming out on Basuma. He does some brilliant things. Don't get me wrong, he's really, really good. And
you know what, Neil? If we go and spend 50 million on Basuma, that's an enormous thing for our club.
Oh, it's a huge statement.
I certainly wouldn't rule it out. The same way I didn't rule out Coutinho when we spoke about him the first time. I just think anything is possible here now. We could potentially. What's the release fee? Or 33 million, is it, Coutinho, in the summer?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, it's between 30 and 40 or something around that. Yeah, 30.
If he hits the ground running, that could be spent. Another 25, including the add-ons for Luca Dean. And then all of a sudden you're up to 100 million on 3 players. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and I'm going to preface it again. If we sign Basuma for 50 million, I'm still going to be as happy as anything else. I'm once again mitigating my own thought process and saying, if a player, if somebody like Pape Gueye from Marseille comes in for 20 million, if Nicolas Dominguez, 11 Argentinian caps, 1 goal, who's absolutely tearing it up for Bologna. Maybe we went out, we saw him when we were looking at Aaron Hickey. Maybe we were only ever looking at him, and our scouts were there, and Aaron Hickey was just a byproduct, and people put 2 and 2 together because we had him in our list of potentials previously. If something like that happens, what I'm trying to say here is I'm going to take any signing on its merits based on, yes, Bissouma's plays in the league. He knows the league, everything like that. But if we were to bring in someone else, I think a central defensive midfielder is important. But there are players out there.
We spoke about it ourselves many times in text. I just think for 50 million, we could potentially fill that position and also buy another centre half. And that's me being me in Aston Villa that I've known for the last whatever amount of time that I've been supporting them. But if we're going to step up and we're going to play big boy football, we're going to have to make signings like this and have that ilk. So it's absolutely within the realms of possibility that this could happen. So I'm definitely not ruling it out.
Yeah, we signed a top defensive midfielder. You don't see Scott McTominay score that goal against that he did. But then again, look, here's me playing devil's advocate with myself again. This is the problem with the way my brain works. Stephen Gerrard didn't play with a defensive midfielder in Rangers. You can call Glenn Kamara a defensive midfielder all you want, but he wasn't. He didn't play with an out proper 100% like N'Golo Kante type. But then again, here's another thing: he's come to Aston Villa. I can guarantee you, he isn't playing exactly the same tactics as he did in Rangers, and you can see it in games. You can see when he changes up his tactics. I thought that the El Ghazi substitution he made on Monday was questionable to say the least. Yeah. But when you look at the average position points that they're in, we actually went wider when El Ghazi came on. So we almost went into more. We ditched the 2-10s and we went into a more of an expansive game to try and get down the sides of them. It didn't work, but we did change the tactic, and that's why he was brought in. And now he looks like he's on his way out as well to Everton on loan. At the moment, to probably balance the books from a wages point of view. For Luca Digne, who's going to come the opposite way.
Yep. Just with regard to the central midfielder, I think it's a position we have to get right and have to get it right now.
It. Yes.
Because we're like I alluded to it the other day with Coutinho coming in when we spoke about it. He's going to take an awful lot of pressure off those central midfielders. There's going to be someone sitting on him throughout the 90 minutes. They're going to double up. We're going to have a Jack situation because they are going to be afraid of their life of this guy. When he's fit enough to start, if that's the weekend, so be it. It'll be interesting to see. But our midfielders are going to have a whole lot more room to go and play football. So I think it has to be a proper ball-playing central midfielder that goes in there.
Yeah, and as I say, I'm going to clarify it again because I know I'm going to get 1,000,001 DMs over this. It happened to me last time as well. If we sign Bissouma, well and good. But what I'm trying to say is he's not the only central defensive midfielder out there. And I personally don't think the club are going to spend 50 million on him.
No, I don't either. I
said I don't think we're going to sign Coutinho either. This is literally just me waxing lyrically. And if we do, well and good. But as you say, Paddy, if we get it right, that it could unlock an awful lot of things because no matter how good Coutinho is going to be up there, potentially he might there's this possibility he mightn't be, but whatever happens there, we will file forward a small bit more now. You can see McGinn even doing it at the moment, but we need to anchor that base of the midfield. We really, really do. And whether it's a player that comes in and we push Douglas Luiz forward, or it's a player that comes in and pushes Douglas Luiz out of the team or becomes a rotational player within the team, that's another question for another day. But there is a keystone at the bottom of that midfield now needed, and it's been needed for about 2.5 years, to be honest with you. Anyway, we're well off piste here now at the moment. Carson White, anyone saw Bailey in training for us today? I was hoping he'd make it for Saturday. I don't think he's going to make it for Saturday.
I still think he's a couple of weeks away. Yeah,
I think he is. Yeah, but it's good to see him back in training. I think that they will give him a long runway on this one because it's the same injury for the third.
I think the bottom line is we now have cover and we now have people that can do damage. So if I was managing Leon Bailey at this stage, he'd be in a mini preseason and he'd be doing 2 or 3 weeks of solid hard work to get him up to speed.
And it's the exact same injury that he's gotten 3 times in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that he's had the thigh injury on top of it. as well. It's like this is the same. This is the same hamstring injury he took into the Gold Cup. He got during the World Cup. Then he came and joined us. He got the thigh injury when he scored against Everton, and now he's got the hamstring injury again. Is he, that's not to say he's injury prone. It just probably points to the fact that the hamstring injury has been an ongoing issue for him. So if we don't see him again for 3-4 weeks,
it's something that needs to be managed. And we've said it so many times. There's a number of players in that squad that didn't have a proper preseason, and I put those injury problems down to that for him. So he arrived fairly late into the equation. So he'll get there. He'll be absolutely fine, but they'll manage this injury properly. And wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great to be flicking between Leon Bailey and Emi Buendia and Philippe Coutinho? So when you look at that 3-2 there, and who knows, maybe he'll play one of them through the middle. Maybe he'll play Leon Bailey through the middle. So I honestly don't know where else he's going to fit in, to be honest.
And even when we think about this weekend, we get onto it. We'll get onto it in a moment when we talk about this game this weekend. But Ethan said that Leon Bailey was 100% of training today. I didn't see any of the training photos today.
I thought all the photos were just Philippe Coutinho.
Yeah, but Paddy, you have to look in the background. It's like one of those games of Magic Eye, when you stare at something long enough and then the image appears.
I never got a chance to look at the video. There was a video of his 56 hours or something, and he was training. So I didn't get to see it.
Exactly. A couple of things there on VAR as well. Tony says here, can I talk about VAR, how long it's been used on how it's not being used properly, or how the officials are making mistakes. And speaking about the issue bluntly, VAR is working perfectly. It's being used to cheat, and I think Paddy might have alluded to that in his soliloquy. Jason maintains that we're going to get screwed over by VAR on Saturday. I really hope not.
But you know what? I don't
think on blood pressure tablets.
I don't think we will, and I am on blood pressure tablets. But I don't think we will. I think we are going to go for them bald-headed on Saturday. I think this is our time to shine. They're missing McTominay. They're missing Luke Shaw. I think there's going to be a little bit of tinkering going on in there, and I think we're going to get
Harry Maguire will probably be still out. Dalot will be out. Likely Sancho will be out. Ronaldo might be out. Look, we're not without our issues either again as well on Saturday. Who's ordered their Coutinho shirt then? Me. I got
not me
last night.
I ordered one for my son last night.
And
a blank one for myself.
And your nan's boyfriend, what a brilliant name, by the way. What a brilliant name. Basuma, 40 million bargain in a few years to be worth double. I didn't even see that when I said that Basuma would be worth double when I was going through. I'm not 100% sure whether we should sign him thing. If he is, look, if all this comes to pass, great. I'm happy. I'm really happy for that to happen. I'm managing my own expectations as opposed to trying to be right. That's what I'm talking about when I said that about Basuma. And says, lads, loving this transfer window. Do you think it's from the Grealish money we have funds for these transfers? Was that used on wages and running the club? How deep are these pockets? And that's a really interesting question. I have been looking and studying and doing another video on contract amortization. Yes, indeed. So I have. So I don't know where the money is coming from. I would imagine that there is still money from the Grealish transfer fee. Also,
we broke even in the last window, so we didn't technically spend anything in the last window.
Well, technically we didn't. Technically, we actually made a profit.
Oh, we did make a profit. Yeah.
well, when the accounts, depending on what. Okay, so yeah, depending on what way the contracts work out, we potentially made a profit because amortization takes in the cost of a player's contract over the 4 or 5 years of a contract. So the club were being smart by signing, and I think we'll see that an awful lot more where players might have their deals re-upped every year. So that from a financial point of view, the club then can, they can split a transfer fee. Like for let's just say we do spend 50 million in Basuma, you can split that transfer fee over the length of his contract. Also, the wages are split over the length of his contract as well. So you can also then say that like there's a saving over the length of that contract from wages and transfer. It's actual shysterism is what it is, but it's an accepted way of doing transfers. I'm going to have something coming out in it soon, 5 or 10 minute video. I found it really interesting. But it's an interesting one for sure. But I don't know where the money came from. I just wanted to keep rolling. You know, whatever leprechaun we killed at some stage and stole his pot of gold. Hopefully we'll find his mother and his father as well and get theirs too.
Yeah, we know that the pockets are deep. It's a question now of how much they're going to want to spend. There was a comment there, and I lost it. There was somebody asking about the inner city academy.
That's got to be paid again for as well.
The North Stand has to be paid for. That
could be paid for outside of operating costs.
It could be paid for over 50 years.
I would imagine that the stadium is owned by a separate company, maybe, or something along those lines. That you've got holding companies and then operational companies potentially. I don't know anything about finance. I can barely run my own. My credit card was skimmed the other day. I'm not the person to be talking about money for sure. That's one thing for certain. But I do find it interesting and trying to understand it.
And plus, we sat there on a Tuesday night and bought Philip Coutinho t-shirts.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Rod, thanks a million, Rod, man. Thanks a million for the super chat. Did I miss booing VAR yet? You did. We had a bit of a rant at the start. Can't wait for the game. Very excited.
It was a bit more than a boo, Rod, but thanks very much.
I'm expecting we're expecting solicitors' letters potentially. Where are we there? Where did I go to? Sorry. Paul, check out the player ratings for various stats providers. I think there might have been. I think there was something up with the stat with statistics across the board and a lot of the betting providers and stuff like that over the course. I don't know what the story was there, but I know there was no in-game betting stats and stuff like that. So
I would never look at anybody's player ratings when you've got the likes of allegedly our own Dion fucking Dublin giving a Man United player man of the match when they were absolutely toxic for 90 minutes. I never even got onto him, did I?
Yeah, look, we're gone from that. We're gone for that. Where else are we there? I'm losing the chat. I'm losing the chats here, guys. There's so many of them there, and there's stuff there as well about Basuma as well. So we might get back to those in a moment. Right, Paddy, talk to me about Saturday. Let's do a little bit of a preview piece on it. We've rambled for 30 minutes, and that's long enough. Let's actually look at our notes and talk about that for some period of time.
Do you have notes?
Paddy, it's all my flippancy is all an act.
I told you I'm only here like a right hand figure to keep you in check, you know that.
You are right, yeah. And I'm happy out to be Ted Lasso. Absolutely.
And I tended to course like Roy Kent tonight when we were talking about VAR. So anyway,
it's allowed.
Yeah. Look, it's time to draw a line under last week, and the best way to draw a line under that is to go and bloody stuff them on Saturday. And I fully expect us to play them off the park again. We're obviously missing John McGinn. I fully expect to see Morgan Sanson get a run. I'm hoping he gets a run because I think he deserves it. We need to see a bit more of him. Because we notice every time we've seen him, there seems to be a decent player in there. He just plagued with injuries when he started. So I'm hoping he got a bit of a good training in because he's missed a few games. So he'll have a decent team out even without John McGinn. And then there's the opportunity to change it up. Hopefully we'll see Luca Digne in tomorrow on top of having Philip Coutinho to change up the team. So it won't be exactly the same starting and finish that was there at the weekend, that's for sure. On Monday night. So I'm fully expecting a win. I'll hold judgment on how good of a win when we look at what team sheet comes out. But it's all. I reckon the players, to use your phrase, are going to go out with plenty of piss and vinegar on Saturday and get stuck into them.
We're tight in the attacking options. And in midfield for this game, we're tight from the point of view. We don't have El Ghazi. We don't have El Ghazi. Don't have McGinn. We don't have Ashley Young. We mightn't have Ashley Young. Bertie and Trezeguet are gone.
Yeah,
where are our wingers? We don't have Liam.
We do have Carney. We do have Philogene Badais. We obviously trusted Philogene Badais to come on the other night. He looked lively. There's plenty there. There's plenty there. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about where we are at centre half, because I watched the under-23s performance the other night, and Sil Swinkles and Lauren Feeney, what's his first name? The young lad
Warren
on the bench.
Feeney is someone completely different, isn't he?
Yeah, I
From
know.
Northern Ireland. Yeah, Josh Feeney.
Josh Feeney. They're still very, very raw, and I'd hate to have one of them step up into that position. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of potential there. They're just very, very raw, and you know, there's a potential there for a few brain farts, which you don't want when you're playing one of the greedy six. So I'm more worried about that position than I am about having to play one of the youngsters up front. Completely okay with Carney, completely okay with Philogene Badis. There's somebody else I've left. Cameron Archer's there. You know, there's plenty of options.
Yeah.
Watkins will probably start in that 10 role. With
Interesting. He started on the right hand side against United. I wonder why that was. I wonder was that to pin back Luke Shaw.
It didn't exactly work. Well, we didn't even talk about Luke Shaw, who had 4 yellow cards offences before he got a yellow card.
Well, he won't be playing against us the weekend anyway. So
they were a little bit muddled, I thought, in the first 10-15 minutes when Buendia was off the left and Watkins was off the right, because they definitely weren't expecting that. And it's not alien to Watkins either, who did do it plenty of times for Brentford in the past.
Oh, that's where he played. Like he played as right winger, which, to be honest with you, was one of the reasons why I was surprised why we were persevering with pushing him out into the left hand side. Consider like that was facilitation for Amy Buendia. And
but when I saw it, it smacked of somebody who had said to the manager, "Listen, Gaffer, you know, I'm used to playing off the right instead of the left. Let me have a go at that." You know, that happens at Premier League level. It's not just Sunday League level that kind of conversation happens. So I'm sure it would have been something they worked on in training to try and do something different. And for a stage, United were all over the place. They didn't know how to deal. Well, United were all over the place for most of the game. They were just defended in numbers, and we had to work very hard to try and break them down, which turned out to be impossible.
And Emi Buendia, I thought like Emi Buendia was very, very good. Against United. I thought he played well. And that's the second game in a row playing really well. Played well against Brentford, really finding his feet. So the fact that he was able to switch wings and still play well, and I think he was given more of a free role. And to be honest with you, all three of them were kind of interchangeable, because there was times there in the first half where Danny Ings found himself out on the left-hand side, and you'd look and you'd see Ollie Watkins would be in off his wing, playing in that traditional in the traditional 9 role in there, and Buendia was further back in midfield. So there was times when they were given opportunity to kind of fill into positions, so it was a bit more fluid and less rigid than we've seen before. It was, but like for me, and there is a question there. I'm after missing it. One of the guys asked about Ings and Watkins together. That's where it is there. I don't know if they're improving, and the reason being, I don't like everybody is talking about they can't play together. They're not really firing together and stuff.
Yeah.
You like the stability behind them hasn't been there, and the stability of the person playing up front with them hasn't been there. And as I say, there has been a lack of stability in this team from what team can go from week to week.
We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, if you remember, when Ollie Watkins was left out of Brentford, and there was speculation about him going to Arsenal, and I said to you, I haven't seen any improvement in Ollie Watkins. If Arsenal want to sign him, let them sign him. We'll replace him. You know, he's one of those players I felt that could be replaced. He hasn't kicked on for me. I think with Ings, regardless of how bad he's playing, if he gets into the position, he's going to get you a goal. Ollie Watkins is not. He's a form player. When he's in form, he's brilliant. Like he got into a great position the other day and completely fluffed his lines and whacked it against the bar, albeit with a fella pulling out of his shorts. But, that's completely fine too when you're playing for the other team. But for me, he hasn't pushed on since last year. He was hot and cold last year too. Some days he was brilliant, and then he could go 2 or 3 games without doing anything. Whereas Danny Ings, I just think, will always give you the finish if the finish arises. So I think Danny Ings is important to be in that 9 position at the moment, bearing in mind what we have available.
Simon Dobson of where is he write for again? He's a football journalist, 300. I can't remember who he writes for again. I did know this. I knew this 20 minutes ago and I can't remember it. It says that Bazuma is still Villa's number one target after Digne. Jared wants him as soon as possible and believes he would improve the team massively. Brighton convinced he isn't leaving, but every player has a price. And I suppose another thing about that is that like we won't have him potentially playing for us before the 10th of February. So that's another thing I suppose to bear in mind. You know, it won't affect whether we want to buy him now or not. But you know, the AFCON doesn't finish until the 10th of February. So if Mali get to the finals,
did I imagine it, or did my son tell me today that Bazuma was only on the bench?
Well, he had 100% passing stats anyway. I don't think he was.
Okay, maybe it was somebody else.
Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, talking about referees, Paddy, could you imagine the state of Paddy if what happened in the Mali and Tunisia match?
I would not be here, Neil. I would not be here. I would be on a flight and hiring a car and driving to Stockley Park myself if that happened in the Villa game.
Oh my God. So just to let you guys know, first of all, he gave a penalty. The penalty was saved. And then the ref blew the game up with only 85 minutes played. Then he restarted. Then everybody was remonstrating with him. He restarted the game. He sent the fella off and then blew up the game on 89 minutes before the game was finished as well a second time. So if you haven't seen, I'm sure you've seen it. It's been all over Twitter. It's been all over the media. Pretty mad stuff. So I suppose, you know, we got to like, we weren't too harshly done by him, consider what that ref did. But couldn't disagree more. I thought Ali was immense for season 9. Worked his arse off and would have scored more if always played as a 9 instead of forcing him in with Mings. I agree with a bit of it.
And there we go. There's two sides of the coin, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, and that's absolutely fine. And that's why I put it up, Ray. You're 100% right in what you're saying too, but is work rate enough? That's the problem for me.
I text you, Paddy. I text you and I said the one he hit after crossbar was a horrendous miss. And I'm afraid it is, you know, like he should be putting those away. And look, he was under pressure. I know he was under pressure, but you know, he should be that should have been scored. I think we're able to call him out. His work off the ball is brilliant. His work with the ball, like he'll take Dara had it up there somewhere that he hopes that Maguire is playing at the weekend and that Ollie Watkins can take him on a tour of the pitch, and I think that's what he brings to the team. You know, if he can improve his finishing, like he would be absolutely brilliant. He'd be a manager's dream. But his one-on-ones have been poor for 12 months now, and while that one wasn't specifically a one-on-one, he was cutting in across the 6-yard box, and you know he was slipping and stuff. I know there's mitigating factors and stuff, but
slipping and having a short pulled as well at the same time. So there's mitigating factors.
When he cut back in, when he was getting his shirt pulled, if he cut back in and flopped to the ground, a la Bernardo Silva, do we get a penalty? I can think not. I think not, and I think we have more and more memes or or whatever they're called, like we did against Trezeguet. Except, anyway, listen, look, we're going back into the depths of depression again, Paddy. There was something else there, lads. Thanks so much, everybody, for the comments. By the way, if you haven't clicked on like on the stream on YouTube, could you please do that? Really helps us out. Really does. It helps us with them all algorithmic things that I certainly don't understand anyway. But we really appreciate that. Paddy, at the weekend, like I suppose, look, the big question: does Coutinho start? Do you just start him regardless? Is he too big not to start?
No, nobody's too big not to start.
The news and everything is.
I think it will all come down to how his fitness is. For me, the perfect scenario is we are struggling to break them down. 60 minutes on the clock. It's 0-0, and he's brought on and changes the game. You know. We know he can do it. He's a fantastic footballer. That's how I envisage it going. I don't envisage it going 0-0, but that's how I envisage his introduction to be at the weekend. I could be completely off the mark and the guy could be super fit. I've absolutely no idea. I've no idea how much training he was doing at Barcelona, how involved he was. But we've got fitness coach after fitness coach and people looking at his stats It's definitely a runner that he could start, but to me, I think the guys who started at the weekend and really put it up to Man United probably deserve a chance to have a go at them again. But that's the coach in me, as opposed to the it's the head overruling the heart. The heart is saying, yes, get him in there, start him, put him in from the start and let him run riot.
Look at Dean's Instagram on his way. He's put it out on his Instagram.
There you go.
I don't know if you can see it. There is Luca Dean. Yeah, and Villa Report has just posted it on Twitter as well. And thank you to Leighton Lord Castle of Aston for giving me the heads up on that one. Appreciate that. I don't just randomly go on Luca Dean's Instagram in the middle of podcasts. You know, Paddy does say interesting things. So if anybody ever sees me, if anybody ever sees me just drift off looking at my phone and stuff like that, it's not because I'm the most ignorant man on the planet. I might be the most ignorant man on the planet, but I'm not. It's not because I don't think what Paddy's saying is interesting. It's because somebody's alerted me to something happening on Twitter. Feel a small bit like Fabrizio Romano rubbed off with me that time I interviewed him. That I feel like, you know, during transfer season that there's always something going on. Not that I know anything at all about anything at all.
How refreshing is it, Neil, that we're on the 12th of January? We've one in, one on the way.
Two on the way.
It's not like the old days of bringing someone in on the 31st and just bringing him in for the sake of it. He's getting his business done. Somebody said to me earlier, I don't know how true it is, but I'm going to throw it out there. We spoke about this in December ourselves. We didn't say it on the podcast. I fully expect him to go and sign Connor Goldson in the next few days as a backup. He's out of contract at Rangers in the summer, and we'll get him very cheap because they'll snap your hands off for a couple of 100,000, I'd imagine. So, judging by what I was told today, I think that could be a runner.
There you go, lads. Breaking news all over the place. Kurt Smith, medical tomorrow. That does look like it's going to be snapped up by... or snapped up from you know what I'm trying to say. Looks like we're going to sign him. Connor Goldson, yeah, I'll have more to say about that if it does materialize.
It'll just be a backup, and you know, I said this to you in December that it would be a cheap backup. If he trusts him, I think it's something he could go and do. And somebody normally very reliable said it to me today that it was in the pipeline. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be absolutely fantastic. I had something else there that I was going to mention a moment ago. Sorry about this forgetfulness. The child is sleeping through the night now, though, so this forgetfulness should dissipate over the next couple of weeks. That is exactly what I was going to say.
I had a feeling you would not let a question go by about Ken Kessler, Hayden.
No, because actually, do you know what? It was really interesting. Because he's like, remember, it was probably only about a year ago now that all of a sudden he was named on the bench, kind of out of nowhere. And he's had a fantastic rise, and his game against game for Swindon against Man City obviously didn't go unnoticed by Stephen Jardine. He's been brought back, and what I don't think he's going to challenge Matty Cash, as in he's not going to usurp Matty Cash and start between now and the end of the season, start over him every game. Sorry, should I say between now and the end of the season? But I think that like there have been games at times this year where Matty Cash has. I would go so far as to say that the game against Man United that we played in the cup there just on Monday night wasn't one that he would put in his highlight reel if he was going to put himself around.
I'd go saying it was probably his worst.
Yeah, I don't. And Target wasn't good either. Like Target. I when I was doing my left back kind of comparisons and the how Target defends against the dribble. That was just so evident on Monday because they nearly got past him every time, or he was too far up the field. He was beaten far up the field, and he was left tracking back. Now, once again, we're not digging him out. I still think he potentially starts at the weekend, and that's fine. He's very, very capable left back, but you do need positions that you do need people to push them because it's a really energetic position. You need to be pretty on the ball, like from an energy point of view, and it's a long season. You know, it's a long season as a professional footballer. So you need to have players that can come in there and give Matty Cash a break. Maybe we haven't been able to take our fullbacks off if they're having a bad game.
No,
while Ashley Young
we've only taken them off when they were injured.
Against West Ham.
Man City, I think he came off as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
Matt
you know,
Target.
so there's exactly. So like they're going to, and as I say, it's one of the positions now. It's not like it's not a position you push someone out into to hide them. Like, you know, I know everybody knows about that. You're playing under 14, under 16 football, and a fella arrives on, you throw him in right back to keep him out of the way. That's not football anymore. There need to be some of the most energetic players now to get right up and right back down the wing again. So give them a break.
But going back to
It's
the
important.
question, if Steven Gerrard trusts him defensively, I think with the addition of Coutinho, with the addition of a central defensive midfielder, I think Kane Kessler-Hayden will offer more going forward than Matty Cash. Defensively, I think Matty Cash might be a bit better. And it's funny that we're talking about this, and we spoke about Matt Target, considering that Matt Target looked like a guy who was going to be replaced this week. Because if you're asking me, does Luca Dean start on Saturday? That's a bigger possibility than Philippe Coutinho. But again, it's down to fitness. I don't think Luca Dean has played in a few weeks either, because there was a falling out there, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think Luca Dean basically told Rafa to get stuffed. I found it interesting. Michael Ball was on TalkSport. I'm going to say TalkSport. Usually that's where these guys rock up. He was on TalkSport this morning or last night, and he basically accused Luca Dean of being mentally weak. Which is, and I'll be honest with you, I think it's an actual scurrilous thing to say about any professional footballer, without any basis or relevance at all. Like, basically, he turned around, like, he said he was unprofessional, he's mentally weak, and I don't know. Look, I'm not standing up for him. I don't know what went on, but I just think it's something that's, like, words mean nothing. It's like myself and Paddy have war. The only time I ever get cross with Paddy is when he says things like, they wanted it more than us. That makes my eyeballs burst, that phrase, because you can't argue against it, and you can't argue for it. It's a complete and utter opinion piece. Anyway, that's beyond it. That's beyond the point. I'll only rise myself now if we start talking about, but stuff like that. Oh, he's mentally weak. How the hell do you know?
That's a terrible statement to make, because if what we're told is true, I actually think it's the complete opposite. Because I've said for many years, Rafa's a spoofer. Anytime I listen to him talking, he talks absolute shite. He's watching a different game to everyone else. So
he's been too successful to be a spoofer, Paddy.
No, he's a spoofer. He's a spoofer.
I don't know.
Houllier was a spoofer as well.
I don't know. I think Benitez has been too successful to be a spoofer. Do I think he's overly confident? Yeah, maybe. I think only in later life, I think so. But I think Houllier became overly confident as well in later life, and you know, that's well documented about how he didn't give a shit about some players at the end. And we're not speaking ill of the dead, but remember the Richard Dunn thing about what he did to Richard Dunn, who was his own player. You know, so little things like that. But yeah, look, I suppose
you're allowed to say it.
Yeah, but still, like,
I haven't forgiven him for his little shitty dance he did after Thierry Henry handled the ball.
That's what I'm talking about. Richard Dunn hasn't forgiven him. Never.
Oh, he did other stuff with Richard, and Richard Dunn wasn't totally blameless either.
Yeah, I know.
He loved to have the party too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, so we're starting to answer questions and then coming up with our own completely off-topic questions. And this has been the most disjointed podcast I've ever done. I do apologize to everybody for that. Paddy, as I say, Saturday, they come to Villa Park. It could be the first time we do the double over them in my lifetime. I'm 30, I'll be 37 in April. Yeah, I know. I'm only going to be 37. Look at the cut of me. Yeah, I know that's what people are saying the other end. Yeah, look, watch him with his grey beard. He's like 36.
I just think it's disgraceful that you're younger than me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A lot of people are saying that. Yeah. But then again,
I'm only 38, but you just still can't believe you're younger than me.
there was a picture up on Twitter today with Ronaldo and his top off, and then Rooney beside him, and it was like, Rooney's younger than Ronaldo or something along those lines, or Rooney is just 2 months older than Ronaldo or whatever, and Rooney looks older than me at this stage, you know, so looks older than I do, should I say. He's got more grey in his beard, but so a bit of that going on. But I've never seen, like, Man United have never done we've never done the doublé over Manchester United. I'm going to go so far as to say we haven't done it in my lifetime.
not that I can remember, just a quick one. Is he eligible for Saturday? Once he signs by 12 o'clock on Friday.
On Friday.
He's eligible for Saturday. Yeah.
He's eligible for Saturday, yeah. And I would I'd imagine set your watches for before noon tomorrow. I'd imagine we're going to see something like 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow with him.
I think so. I think
the pitch.
early. Yeah.
Is it in the shirt on the field? Isn't that
what are we playing Saturday? So tomorrow will be
Thursday.
Yeah, so
the calendar works.
It'll be a full enough session, and then tactics in the afternoon. So there'll be plenty going on and around the training ground, I'd imagine. Yeah, I certainly can't remember us doing the double. I think we beat them in the cup and the league one year when Gabby scored. Other than that, I can't. Actually, that was way before that. When we beat them in the cup, I'm talking back in the 90s, maybe. The League Cup, I mean. So I certainly I have never seen us beat Man United in my life in the flesh, and I won't see them at the weekend because I've completely given up going to watch the Greedy Six, unless I have to. So my good friend is sitting in my seats at the weekend. So yeah. But I'm back to planning again now that we don't need a PCR or an antigen test to travel. So our old COVID certificate is enough. So I'll be back over in a few weeks, I hope.
I've seen comments come in on Twitter about my age. I'm going to have to shave the beard down because it's not usually as bad as this, everybody. Okay, right? And yeah, look, it's just after Christmas, okay? And a few pounds don't do me any favors either, okay, right? But if anything, you guys have forced me out to try the roads again. And when I get over to Villa Park, and I'm hoping to get over there twice before the end of the season minimum, when I get over there, I'm more svelte and less grey bearded. Can you get a cap for your beard? Do you know, I wore my hat the last day. Can you get a hat for your beard, maybe?
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Oh, the masks are the enemy of the beard, really, because the mask only comes down to about here, and the beard comes out like this around it, and it looks like an octopus, you know, with the beard coming out like that. So, yeah. Yeah, look, this has been a different type of podcast tonight. Just diet. I get way more stick if could you imagine if I came in with a darker beard? Hey, that's nothing different here. Nothing different here. No,
I didn't see the comment. I thought he was telling you to go on a diet, Neil. I was going, that's a bit hard.
Yeah, with that too. That too. I think that's a double-ended. Comment there. Well, it's because I come across as very wise. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's I like that. I like that one. It's the lighting, lads. It's the lighting that does it. Don't worry about that.
I know you're going to wrap it up shortly, but I think people enjoyed the rant and the banter. So
yeah,
if you did, thanks very much and enjoy it, because you know sometimes you have to make it a bit lighthearted after going on the rant for 25 half an hour.
Yeah, and look, as I say, we kind of consciously made the decision. Yeah, the Irish neck, I'd like that. All right, yeah. I get working on my stare downs. But look, we could have come on on Monday night and we would have been shot out of a cannon. And you know what? Like, I think I would have regretted doing a podcast if I did it Monday night. But tonight was one just to be a bit more. And look, we were a bit off the wall with some of the stuff as well. But it was an egregious decision, I think. Yeah. And we won't relitigate it again. But we've got an opportunity to make amends straight away on Saturday. And against Manchester United in our patch again, or in our patch on Saturday, and I hope so. We do, because we do have. Hopefully, we'll have Coutinho tomorrow. It'll be announced tomorrow, and we'll have Coutinho hopefully. And whether they start or whether they come off the bench, at least it will be positive for the team.
You know what I'd like to happen on Saturday, Neil? I'd like to finally have an occasion where we can come on after the game, which we haven't done in so long, and open a can. Yeah.
I was thinking about it today. I was making a cup of coffee this morning, and I turned around to my better half, and I said to her, I opened up the press, and I saw the pint glasses at the top of the press now, and I turned around and I went, I haven't drank doing a podcast in a long while. It could be over a year like that. And then she goes, yeah. She goes, and I wouldn't if I was you either. And I went, no, I goes, I'd love if we beat United. I actually said that. I said, if we beat United, no, I'd crack open a bottle or something like that on the podcast. But yeah, we'll bring that back. We'll bring that back, Paddy, for sure. Cormac, thanks a million. Cormac for the super chat. Did we get a prediction? I'm going to give a prediction because I know Paddy's become allergic to predictions prior to seeing the team sheet. I'm going to say Aston Villa will win 2-1 based on my wise beard.
You'll have to wait for mine on Saturday, Cormac, but I can tell you now that we are going to win on Saturday. I will determine the scoreline when I see the team sheet, but I think we're going to win on Saturday, and I think we're going to play them off the park again, and I think it's our time for a bit of luck.
Wait a minute.
They can't do us 2 weeks in a row.
Lucas Digne put out a statement on Instagram here. It says, so Digne has said, just before we go, we might as well read that one out. So it's Lucas Digne put it out. So he said, thank you for 3.5 years in blue. From day one, the Evertonians have received me with a lot of warm feelings, and I'm forever thankful for that. I have loved to be part of the Everton family. I've always worked hard to give back to the fans on and off the pitch. I have loved the unity of fans and players, not only Goldson on a match day, but also in everyday life. Only 1 year ago, I signed a new contract with the ambition of staying in this club for a long time, giving everything to my club for the development and project that I believed in and for the passionate fans. My dream was helping the club back where it belongs. Wearing the captain's armband in some matches always made me proud. That's something that we've overlooked when we've discussed him as well, about the leadership factor as well. Yeah. Everything must come to an end. I just did not expect it to end this way. What has happened and some of the things that was said about me in the last month has made me very sad, but I will not enter a war of words with anyone. The club doesn't deserve that. The fans don't deserve that. And to be honest, I don't feel I deserve that. There are so many good and decent people in and around Everton who want to the best for the club, and not only for themselves. And to them, I can only say from my heart, I wish you the best. Thank you to all the wonderful, proud and passionate true Evertonians. It's been an honour and a true pleasure to play for you, the fans, the people, because a club do not belong to a player or a manager, but to the fans. I will always carry you with me in my heart wherever I go. Sometimes it only takes one person from outside to destroy a beautiful love affair. All the best to Everton and Evertonians. Blue love heart.
You see, I like that kind of statement. I think that shows great passion in a guy.
And I think it shows mental weakness, Paddy, and fragility.
It definitely doesn't show mental weakness. That takes a pair of balls to come out and say those things. And you know, I don't generally have a soft spot for other clubs. I have a soft spot for Everton. I've a good friend who's a season ticket holder there. And back in the day when I was a single man with no kids, I would go over regularly, especially when they played Villa, and I had some amazing days out there. It's a friendly club. It's very similar to our own. The fans are great. I just think Rafa and the owners there are just capable of destroying that. Like, well, don't get me wrong. The one that was there before didn't do a particularly good job either. But I just think it's been run very badly. And you know, you can't come out and criticize players. And I just think Rafa was very unfair, and he was the unprofessional one for sure.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't a clue what went on. I have no idea what went on in that. What went on with regards to that. So
I think it's blatantly obvious that he's not. He's
falling out with Rafa. Yeah. But like, is that a case? Like you talk to some Everton fans, they'll say he was their best player, and you know, it's a case of did Rafa just go for try to cut the head off the snake? You know, and probably I'm using the wrong analogy there, as if there was something wrong with the team, but maybe that's what happened.
It just smacks to me that he couldn't cope with Dean's personality. That's what it comes down to. He seems like a hot head. We know he's capable of flying into tackles and stuff like that, and you know he's outspoken. So it's done and dusted now. There's no going back after a statement like that. Dara wants to know why I just don't marry Everton.
Why we don't marry Everton? Marry Everton. Dara's our resident Liverpool fan.
You're allowed to have a soft spot for clubs. Sometimes that changes. I had a soft spot for Arsenal under Arsene Wenger. I used to like watching them play, but that changes very quickly, and it's changed for me for Everton. I couldn't be arsed watching them now.
As we say, we're Villa fans. We're entitled to be as fickle as we absolutely want. Absolutely. We wrote it on bed sheets. Yeah, you know, we've written it in bed sheets as well before. So we're
but I'm not fickle. I just don't like Rafa.
And we didn't like a couple of other people before that as well.
I didn't like David O'Leary either. And
I didn't like David O'Leary.
A lot of people, funnily enough, when I went over for the Watford game, what game did I go to? Jesus, the Wolves game. 4 people in the pub that night asked me what I thought of David O'Leary. What's that? 20 years later.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Right, lads, we're going to leave it there because it's 10:30. It's been, as I said, I used the word at the start of it. I said that it's cathartic to come on and talk on a podcast. It's put me in a lot better form about the game. About Monday night. Still a bit sour. Like, I'm going to call it sour is what I was this morning about the whole game of football, essentially, even though we'd signed Coutinho in the meantime, officially signed him and stuff. But feel a bit better now after having a bit of a laugh and a joke about it and just getting stuff off the chest. Hopefully you guys feel a bit better about it as well, if anybody was feeling down the dumps. It's a fucking strange game the way it does that to you, isn't it? Every sport in general is strange the way it does that to you, you know. And maybe it shouldn't, but it does. And maybe it's just the times you live in as well. But as I say, if anybody enjoyed this podcast, you know, like that, we hope you enjoyed it, I suppose, really is what I'm trying to say. And if you did, just hit the like button in the bottom of the podcast as well. It really helped us out. I am going to make probably an announcement that may not be good for some people. People may not like it. We may not have a team sheet tantrum on Saturday.
Or it might be just one of us.
Or we may. So we may or may not have a team sheet tantrum on Saturday. Potentially both of us could be traveling somewhere, and we may not have anybody to drive from the mothership. So potentially we may not have it, but we will let you know. It'll be out on socials and social media to let you guys know. And as I said, we will endeavour to have a team sheet tantrum on Saturday. But thanks everybody so much for checking in. Thanks so much everybody for listening. If you're listening to this afterwards, don't listen. It's probably too late to say this now, but this isn't one for the kids. I don't think the swearing that we've done in the podcast. But look, they're going to learn it from somewhere anyway. You can blame Uncle Paddy and Uncle Neil if that is the case for teaching them all that language. Kent. Exactly, Roy Kent. But until the weekend, guys, hopefully you stay safe. Hopefully everything goes your way over the next few days. Hopefully we see Digne in Clareton blue, and you never know, we might see one or two other players the way things are going. It seems to be very, very much so a game of the hokey cokey, 1 in, 1 out at Aston Villa at the moment, and as long as the team is being strengthened, long may it continue. Have a great few days, and we will hopefully be back to you on Saturday for team sheet tantrum. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.